let's go for the Stryonic Resonator, definitely, onto the Prismatic Bridge. We get an Elspeth, Sun's Champion, which is a one-sided board wipe in this instance. Today's video is sponsored on Patreon by Alex Dykes. Playing with a commander that I didn't get a chance to make during Kaldheim, a Seeker, God of the Tree, and it's the Prismatic Bridge that we care most about here. Up against Kethis, Brago and Old Stickfingers. No ramp in that hand, of which we've got plenty in the deck, 40 lands and a bunch of ramp. That is much better, we will keep that one. Turn 1 Sol Ring from the Kethis player. And alright, we get into another colour, so we've got 3 of our colours so far. Well, we've already got a Shalai, Voice of Plenty here. We get into another colour, let's go for the Bayou, and I think we can get a tapped red source into play here. So we'll go for the Temur Triome here and pass at that. Sylvan Library from Billy Kills, a patron to the channel who we all know and love. And then for Brago, it is Eldrazi Displacer. And we're getting more action from the 3 colour player, this time it is Arvad the Cursed, which cares about legendary creatures. The Shalai, Voice of Plenty, swinging in towards Brago. Alright, and we get into another red source, so yeah, I don't think we particularly need to go for the Arcane Signet. I suppose we can set up with the Thassa, have it ready in play. It can flicker whatever creature we get into with the Prismatic Bridge. There's every chance we could get into a Planeswalker as well, but I think Thassa is a good one. The most mana efficient play here, I think. Kills potentially holding up a removal spell here for the Prismatic Bridge, so it might be worth not going for the bridge. Anyway, Brago coming into play and swinging in towards the junk player, so a 3-3 blocks a 3-3. And they trade each other. Kethis the hidden hand now. And it's round to our turn, we get a Verdant Catacombs. I wonder if, is kills held up removal or not? Maybe it's just worth... Yeah, we can get down the Arcane Signet, then if it gets blown up next turn, we can get it out straight away the turn after. So let's go for a tap land with the Verdant Catacombs. And we'll play out the Arcane Signet and pass. And Old Stickfingers now for kills, and only one went into X that time. Played against this deck a few times, I don't know if you'll have seen it on the channel or not. Okay, that's one of the scarier ones to see in the bin. Gerard, Golgari Lichlord. And that gets a lot of power and toughness per creature that's in the bin. And it can come out of the graveyard and start whacking us. Gilded Lotus for Brago. And then tapping that down for mana straight away into a Reality Acid. So that will get rid of Shalai and untap their Gilded Lotus. Because they are going to swing in at us here with the Brago, so that's 2 commander. And this thing does enchant any permanent, so we're going to have to be careful with our Avacyn. As well as the Prismatic Bridge, because that is the first thing that this will go on to, I imagine. And now it's going on to the Thassa, which is indestructible. So it might be that we have to go for the Ugin so that we can blow up the Reality Acid, because this thing is really good in Brago. Noteworthy that there is an Urborg in play now, under the 3 colour player's control. And a God Eternal Ronas. Well, it's better than if there's a bunch of creatures in play at least. And Kethis now with 6 power. Sends that commander damage in towards Brago. Drawing 2 Stryonic Resonator for the turn, so we'll be able to copy triggers. But yeah, we definitely want rid of the Reality Acid, really. Obviously, it'd be good to get rid of Brago as well, but I imagine they've got other means of flickering stuff, so I'd rather Reality Acid just goes down. We will lose our Thassa, unfortunately. Does mean that we're throwing away our Ugin as well, because I have no doubt that our opponents will swing in towards there. But as it stands now, we'll be able to get our Prismatic Bridge out a couple of times. If we get another land after next turn, then we'll be able to get it out for a 3rd time, so hopefully the removal will be exhausted by then. Doesn't seem too likely with a green player and Sylvan Library in play though. So it might be that hard-casting Avacyn will be the thing to do next turn. We are taking our time setting up here, but I don't imagine we would have had a Prismatic Bridge in play this whole time. Anyway, we see Sol Ring into Felwar Stone there. I don't think they had Sol Ring before now. Yeah, I don't think so. And then we see a board wipe. Alright, so that gets rid of Brago and the Kethis. Yeah, surprised they didn't swing in at Ugin before that. So, yeah, we get to keep our Ugin, apparently. This is really in here for the card advantage. Obviously the removal's really good there as well. The maybe 5 or 6 planeswalkers that we do have removal tacked on. Ronas does not go third from the top for our opponent. And now we see an Angel of Serenity. That can get rid of just creatures. So they might be able to bring... Yeah, they've left Brago in the bin here, so looking to exile Brago from their own graveyard here, I imagine. Yeah, targeting their own Eldrazi Splicer and Brago. And then when this thing leaves play, it will bring those cards back into hand. They do have double blue held up now, so 3 cards in hand. They might have counter magic. I think it's time to run out the Prismatic Bridge regardless. Or maybe we try and keep Ugin around for the card advantage and we can block with Avacyn when this thing swings in towards the Planeswalker. We'll see what the 3-colour player does first. Oh good, a Vorinclex. Oh, I hate Vorinclex. I think that means the bridge then, really. That has Trample, this has Flying, so we lose Ugin either way. Actually, we wouldn't lose it because Avacyn has Vigilance, so we could still run in with it. But I really don't want to tap out for an Avacyn. Not whilst Vorinclex is in play, anyway. I think Avacyn might be the play here. It all depends on whether this player has counter magic, but obviously we don't know regardless. Let's exile with Ugin. And we manifested our own Toxic Deluge, typical. Make sure to tap down the Arcane Signet as well, because that will untap to the Vorinclex. And now it's time to see, yep, the Brago player is holding up priority. I mean, if they had counter magic, then they should have countered the Vorinclex, so I think we're okay. Getting the Prismatic Bridge down, looks like we are. We could go for Strionic Resonator here. We will untap our Arcane Signet and a land next turn. Or one land will already be untapped, I should say, so we will be able to go for the Strionic Resonator on our upkeep. That assumes that this stays in play, though. Yeah, let's just go for it. Getting out the Strionic Resonator for 2 less mana, thanks to the Ugin, so yeah, probably just get another Triome out with the Flooded Strand. More fast mana in Mana Crypt for Billy Kills. And now it looks like he is tapping out into the Vorinclex as well, having all his lands put to sleep. And it's Old Stickfingers again, this time X is 7. So getting into the graveyard, that is Underrealm Lich, Izoni Thousand-Eyed, a Brawn, he will have Trample on his creatures, a Birds of Paradise, Filth will have Swamp Walk, a Blood Artist, and a Golgari Thug. The Angel, as we assumed, goes in to finish Ugin. I would say that it's a better idea to leave Ugin in play in an attempt to get rid of Vorinclex, but like I said, this does have Trample, so we're not going to keep our Ugin anyway. I actually probably would have swung this in towards the Vorinclex player, and then force them to tap this in sideways towards the Ugin. They've pretty much opened themselves up to a Vorinclex play there. A Vorinclex hit, tapping a bunch of their mana as well. Luckily they've got 3 mana from the Gilded Lotus, takes them into Nezahal at Primal Tide. We see Kethis, the Hidden Hand, coming into play again. And that is followed by Primeval's Glorious Rebirth, so all legendary permanents from your graveyard to the battlefield. So they're going to double up the power of that Vorinclex. And I dare say the Vorinclex comes in towards us because, yeah, the Nezahal is 7 power. So Vorinclex going up to an 18-8. It gets +2/+2 from the Arvad. So I actually don't know if we can go for the Strionic Resonator next turn. We might have to tap out into Toxic Deluge, assuming that we block with a token here. Obviously don't know which way they're going to swing in. There is Trostani Discordant as well, comes in with some soldier tokens. And they're pretty much tapped out here, so we could really hurt them with a board wipe. They'll have to be careful who they swing in at. Okay, swinging in at the Brago player, so that is Hexproof and Vigilance, a 19-9 with Trample. Blocking with Nezahal gets rid of that. Some of the damage will still go through, 12 damage to the Brago player directly. And then tapping the lands, freezing them again in Vorinclex. That is Eerie Interlude on his 2 creatures, so exiling those and bringing them back into play. So that means that the Angel will be able to exile some problem stuff here. Actually, we'll only be able to target Shalai here, thanks to all the hexproof, so yeah, maybe us trying to get the board wipe back into our hand is a good idea. Prismatic Bridge. Hopefully we get a Planeswalker here, because I'm not confident that... okay, a Nyxbloom Ancient. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if we're going to be able to go Toxic Deluge here or not. We can go for both Toxic Deluge and the Avacyn. Yeah, if I'd known we were about to get triple mana, then obviously would have gone for the Strionic Resonator there. Let's drop the Bloodstained Mire. These fetches can tap for black thanks to the Urborg. Now, I think the Azorius player is more likely to block us here because his life total is dwindling. So we'll try and have him give us the Toxic Deluge back. And he is doing, that's really good. Double blocking on that just to make sure. So we'll say OK. And that triggers putting the Toxic Deluge back in our hand. So let's see here, I think it's... Well, that's currently a 9, but it will lose some buffs. We don't have to put an extra toughness in for that, an extra 2 toughness in, so as long as we get rid of this, that will be... Yeah, that's effectively 4 toughness, so if we get rid of these 2, that is 3 less toughness on this, which makes 6. So I think if we just put 6 into the Toxic Deluge... Yeah, so 6 into Toxic Deluge, minus the +2/+2, minus the +1/+1 is 9 toughness. So that should work for us. We'll have to float mana with the Nyxbloom Ancient so that we can get Avacyn down. Okay, so first thing we do is go for this Toxic Deluge. And I'm hoping that I've worked out right, that we only have to put 6 life into that. Oh, actually, totally forgot about the Nezahal. Ugh, I was so busy looking at this side of the board. Yeah, we'll keep the Old Stickfingers in play as well. Oh, that's stupid. Getting tunnel vision over here. Should have got rid of these 2 things as well. I mean, maybe it's a good idea to not have Stickfingers be replayed, but there's a lot of commander damage to be had there. Anyway, I think Saheeli went back into the hand over here. They do have 1 card in hand now, and it's not in the bin, so I think Saheeli went back into the hand from the Angel. And speaking of Angels, we'll go for Avacyn. And hopefully that will deter people from swinging in towards us. Yeah, really annoyed that I didn't get rid of the Nezahal there. Should have completely wiped the board. I was so focused over here that I made that mistake. At least their lands are frozen here. Billy Kills won't untap his lands, neither will the Brago player. They do have rocks in play to cast some smaller spells though. And Animate Dead for Billy Kills, and he is reanimating our Nyxbloom Ancient, so next turn he's going to have triple mana. Currently has 6 mana off the Soul Ring, which probably isn't relevant. The 8/8 commander goes in towards the Brago player. They do have to block here because we've got a flyer, and we'll absolutely go in there and finish them off. They do take the damage though, so maybe they've got a means of bouncing the Avacyn or blowing it up with Swords to Plowshares, Pongify, something like that. Oh no, it would have to be swords on Indestructible. Well, they'll need to deal with Avacyn. Soul Ring from Brago, followed by a Propaganda. Yeah, I mean, Propaganda might actually dissuade me from swinging in at them when they're at such a low life total. I wonder if it's actually worth going in at kills. Let's see if Nezahal attacks. Okay, swinging in at the 3 colour player over here. I'd rather he'd gone in at Billy Kills, because he won't block with the Nyxbloom Ancient, I don't think. Kethis coming into play yet again. And then Mana Crypt will allow Brago to draw. And there is the Shalai Voice of Plenty again. Down to 0 cards in hand, still doing alright though. So there we have the Prismatic Bridge. Let's go for the Strionic Resonator onto that. So we get 2 Prismatic Bridge triggers here. The first one is the Vraska Relic Seeker, so we can blow up the Animate Dead there if we want to. Oh, and a Sandstone Oracle. I was just going to say that we do have a lot of creatures and stuff in the deck that can refill our hands, so yeah, 6 cards over here is where we will point that. The Sandstone Oracle draws you cards equal to the difference between cards in your hand and one of your opponents. So we draw a bunch there. And we've got a land to make for the turn in Command Tower. Let's see. Do we want Consecrated Sphinx in play during this next turn cycle? I think the first thing that I want to do is stop the Nyxbloom Ancient, so we'll minus down on Vraska and get rid of the Animate Dead. We get a treasure token for that as well, as we can see here. And then seeing as how we've got a lot of mana, yeah, maybe we should go Consecrated Sphinx. That will draw the Nezahal player a card. Yeah, I'm going to try not swinging in at Brago and... no, they're going to untap. They've got 7 cards in hand. It's probably a good idea to swing in at them, actually, in hindsight. So we'll need to pay 2. That means we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 held up. So maybe it's Ashiok on the Shalai. Let's swing in first so I don't mess up combat. I'm hoping Billy Kills isn't as much of a threat now that triple mana's gone, and we weren't going to get rid of him there anyway. So that gets rid of the Brago player. And then we can go Ashiok here as well, and yeah, let's get rid of this Shalai. We'll be able to target more of their things there, so we bounce that back to hand. It was the only card in their hand, so Shalai has been exiled, and that is down for good. So they pretty much need exile effects. One to get rid of Avacyn, of course, and an exile effect on the Prismatic Bridge would really help them. Kills isn't out of it yet, though. He can always still get back that Jared and fling it at us. Not sure how big it's going to be yet. It might not be big enough. Went for Noxious Revival there, I think. Yeah, he's down to 16. Noxious Revival went on to the Animate Dead, so we'll still be able to get the triple mana here. Manages to dodge the Mana Crypt and doesn't put any life into the Sylvan Library either. We've got 12 damage in the air on him next turn, if he's not careful, so yeah, the Mana Crypt still wouldn't kill him in that regard. Also, thanks to the Urborg being in play over here, doesn't have to put life into the Ancient Tomb or the Nurturing Peatland. So Animate Dead going on to the Nyxbloom Ancient again. Goes for Rishkar's expertise, so that is drawing 8 cards as it stands now and then getting a free spell. And then casting a Stitch Together, which brings back a Zoni Thousand-Eyed. And that should make a bunch of insects here. Yeah, getting 7/1/1 Trample and Swamp Walk insects. 9 cards in Billy Kill's hand here, and he does have a heap of mana left over. Decided to let 4 floating go there though. And now the Swamp Walk Trample comes in towards us, so that is 7 commander damage. Getting into Cyclonic Rift or something like that would be really good. Putting some life into something there. It might have been on the Painland that he accidentally did that with. And that actually, if we're able to connect with these flyers, that actually puts him in range of being bolted by the Mana Crypt, so that might actually be relevant. Okay, he's gone down even more life here. That is Jared, Golgari Lichlord. So losing life equal to a creature's power. Sacrificed his old Stitch Fingers, or Stick Fingers. So knocks us down to 18 with that. Still has a few more activations like that. A Dark Ritual now. Arcane Signet. So that makes more green mana. And then recasting Old Stickfingers. X is 4 this time and still holding up the Golgari mana. The Golgari Lichlord mana. So Old Stickfingers is a 10/10 at this point. Only 1 card in hand for the Kethis player. Did go for Primeval's Glorious Rebirth there, so getting all this stuff back into play. And of course that means that Vorinclex is back. Can't unfortunately do the Ashiok trick again while they've got 0 cards in hand. I assume they just played a land there because they went from 1 to nothing. Shadrick's Silverquill targeted us there. They drew a card and lost a life. Put a plus counter on all of our stuff, so that is... oh, well... okay, the maths doesn't work out there now anyway because Elesh Norn is now in play. So that puts us at 10. We don't have control of the Nyxbloom Ancient now, do we? I don't see why that would have happened. We are tapping for triple mana. Oh, that's what it is. It will be Trostani Discordant. We've gained control of our Nyxbloom Ancient. That's excellent. So, yeah. Let's go for the Stryonic Resonator, definitely, onto the Prismatic Bridge. We get an Elspeth, Sun's Champion, which is a one-sided board wipe in this instance. Okay, Duplicant, really good. I think we want to exile the Golgari Lichlord. We're going to blow up pretty much everything over here. Yeah, let's exile the Jared. And the Duplicant does die because it becomes a 0/0, or actually becomes a 2/2, but then a 0/0 thanks to the Elesh Norn. Okay, and a Terastodon as well. So let's go for the minus on the Elspeth straight away. Nothing has Indestructible or anything. No, nothing has Indestructible on our opponent's side of the field, so we'll -4. And that makes me a lot more comfortable now. So now our stuff gets bumped back up, and we can take out Billy Kills here, I think. We'll go straight through to combat before I do anything else with Planeswalkers or anything. Taking the Nyxbloom at the Trostani player. Actually, we're going to lose our Nyxbloom Ancient here, aren't we? Because the Animate Dead will go. Oh well, I don't think it matters. Don't think we particularly need the triple mana. So our opponents take all the damage. And that is Kills down to -3. Oh, okay, didn't lose the Nyxbloom Ancient there. I think we should have done, because, like I said, the Animate Dead's gone down. Let's plus with the Pirate Commander, or the Pirate Planeswalker, plus with the Ashiok as well. Go for the Marsh Flats. We still have an Urborg in play. Get as many rocks in play as possible before the Vorinclex comes back. And we're looking pretty good at this point, getting the Consecrated Sphinx into play as well, so we'll draw at least a couple of cards on our opponent's turn. So our opponent draws for the turn. We will certainly draw our 2 from the Consecrated Sphinx. A Kogler should take the commander out of play. She's always worth knowing about. That will give a creature fear. Means we can only block with black or artifact creatures. And they just decide to scoop it up there, so looks like we were going to get them in the next few turns anyway. I don't think we could have got them next turn, but probably the turn after we could. Might have been able to go wide on them. We've got a lot of damage in the air here. Yeah, 18 in the air, and then maybe going wide on them or going through with a little bit of trample. Either way, looks like we had them and our opponent agrees. Hopefully you all enjoyed this late visit to the Prismatic Bridge. I've been playing this on Arena in Historic Brawl for a long time now, and finally got round to making a commander deck out of it, so if you want to see more from this deck, be sure to let me know. You can also support the channel and me personally by donating on Patreon, link is in the description there as well. Massive thank you to Billy Kills and the rest of the patrons for constantly supporting. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.